Okay, time once again for the daily break and run. So I didn't get a chance to shoot yesterday, so these are some more runs from the day before, the one that I just did the 2-pack on yesterday. So um, these first two racks are me warming up, so I'm taking ball in hand after the break, and so this one, the best, because of where the 5 is, the best I can get is straight in on the 2. So I have to be either straight in or to the left of center line on the 2, which would mean that the cue ball is going to go off to the right. Now I don't want to hit the 4 and the 5 coming off the 2, because if I do, I'll be pushing them towards my object ball, towards the 3. And if I there's a pretty good chance I will hook myself if I do that. So what I do is I set myself up left of center line on the 2, because I don't want to be straight in. That would be trying to straight draw there would be bad. But then this is a technique. It's a punch draw, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw it, but I'm going to draw it in a way that the draw doesn't really take that huge effect. It just gets me far enough to spin out from behind the 4. Okay, so from here, this is a pretty straightforward run. Uh, and by the way, I'm going to do, I think I've got 3 or 4 runs in here, and then the rack after them, and what happened that caused me not to continue the run. And then at the end, I've got a couple of pretty cool shots that came up during the practice. Now here, I'm making a mistake. I should not stretch for that. I should get the bridge. That was a mistake, but it works out. I'm straight in on the 6, so I'm going to have a long shot on the 8, but the 8's going to be basically straight in. Now on this, because I'm close to the rail, I'm going to have to use top English. If I try, I could try to draw this, but using top English, um, I can just come around the 9. Now I expected the cue ball to arc into the rail from that top English, and it didn't do it. I don't know why. I think it should have. It didn't. So I end up with a thin cut on that 9. All right. So decent way to start practicing. And basically the way I practice once I get to where I'm shooting racks is I will break, and then I'll take ball in hand after the break until I'm comfortable and my stroke feels good. And then once my stroke feels good, then I will start with then I'll start just taking it naturally where it lies. So this is the practice rack after the previous one. Um, Another imminently runnable rack. Take the 1, roll down for the 2. I forget what happens on this rack. A 1 on the side, roll down for the 2. On the 2, I'm just going to roll up for the 3. Nothing fancy, just roll up. Straight in on the 3, stop it for the 5. It'll drift a little bit to the right, but stop it for the 5. Here I'm going to put top right and come around for the 6. Oh, okay. And I just get unlucky and it scratches in the side. All right, now on to real racks. No ball in hand. Pretty good break here. The only problem is shooting the 1. So I don't like jump cues, and this is exactly why. They just make this too easy. You don't even have to think about this shot. You just jump it and put it right in, come up and get your leave. And now there's no problems on the table. This is just going to be a straight run out. 2 into the corner, bounce off the rail for the 4. Should be able to just stop on the 4 and leave the 5. If I have the angle, I'll come off the rail with the 4. I think I have the angle. No, guess not. Okay. get on the correct side of the 5 so that I can just put a little draw on and come straight up the table for the 6. All right, now there's a tendency here to put bottom left on this. Don't just put straight bottom. If you put bottom left, it spins into that area where the 7 is. Just use bottom and come straight up the table where you've got no chance of hitting that 7. Just a little stop to get out to the center of the table. Stop shot here, or a little stun shot just to bounce off the rail, and straight in on the 9. Pretty straightforward run, but it all started because I jumped and made the 1. Yeah, just not a fan of jump cues. They let you get out of trouble too easy. Now, in the old days, I would have jumped that anyhow, but I would have used full cue, and it would have been just fine. I still would have made it. But now with jump cues, there's no reason to do that. Okay, another table that should be runnable. It's not really a problem here. This table, there is no excuse for not running it. Just drift up for the 2. Want to make sure I have an angle so that I can roll off the rail and out for the 3. Want to make sure I get past the 4. So I put a little bit of right hand English on it just to make that angle a little easier, because I'm not wanting to hit this hard. I get enough. Now I have to slow roll the 3. I mean, I could stop it, but slow roll is safer here than jacking up to stop it. Okay, the 4 now. My intent here is I'm going to hit this 4 and I'm going to want to stop the cue ball, but I hit it a little bit to the right of where I had intended, which causes the cue ball to roll off to the right. And I still should run this, but I'm a little frustrated about the way that leave went, and I lose focus, and I just missed the 5 and wouldn't have had a shot. So that's how that run ended. Okay, here's another one. So only real problem here is the 5 ball, and it's not really a problem. This is a pretty straightforward run. Part of the reason I didn't show it to you yesterday is because this is kind of a gimme run as it's standing. So on this 2, I'm just going to roll up the table, and I'm doing that because I don't want to ever have a ball in between me and my object ball. So I'll accept a little bit tougher shot, and this isn't that tough. Now I want to spin around the 4, and I don't. I run into the 4. A little bit dangerous. The good news is that it's a natural leave. I don't have to do anything except pocket the ball. Just a little bit of stun to hold the cue ball up. Pocket the ball. Now I'm going to want to stop on this. I'm not going to want to get straight on this. I'm going to want to stop, because if I stop, now I've got a fairly straightforward shot on the 6, and the cue ball will naturally go straight down the line that I need for the 8 ball. So no matter what speed I hit that, it's going to be right. And then, just stop on the 8, straight in on the 9. Always look for those opportunities to avoid having to play perfect speed. All right, on to the next rack. You already know I'm not going to get out on this rack. There are no back-to-back runs in this. All right, so this break, this rack is a lost cause. You're not going to run this rack unless you get very, very lucky. In a game, the right thing to do is brush the one as thin as you possibly can and spin over behind that wall of balls on the right. Stick your opponent in the middle of those balls. Um, in this case, because I'm playing for runs, I'm going to try it, but it takes a miracle shot here to do it. Basically, you have to come off the rail with bottom right-hand English, put the one in the corner, have the cue ball come straight across the table to hit those balls, and end up with a leave out of it. The 3 doesn't have a pocket. There's no pocket for the 3, so you have to pull off a miracle here. And I don't. Yeah, that rack was a lost cause from the very first minute. All right, next one. Yep, running another rack. Would have had the 1 in the side, but the 8 kissed me out for the corner. Okay, so let's see. Here, this is a pretty straightforward one. As long as you get on the 2 in a way that you can get over to the 4 in the side, you're fine. After that, this is pretty straightforward. 5 to the 6 is probably your hardest leave, aside from getting on the 2. So top left English and force it around the table to get on the 2. Pull it out for the 4. Now I'm going to try to draw down to the end rail and spin over for the 5. I get a little bit too much draw. I hit the 9. The 9 lays up in the corner. This is a shot you should know. That carom comes up so many times. You should definitely know how that works. That was bottom right hand English. You hit square on the 5 to just get to the rail and then spin into the 9. It's not a difficult shot, and after about 3 or 4 times doing it, you'll know exactly how it works. Okay, so this break, I don't know what happened here. I ended up getting more power than I meant to, and the cue ball goes all the way up the table against the rail. This is a long down the rail shot, and long story short, I just miss it. Even if I do make it, this out is tough. It's shoot the 2, you have to get straight in on the 4 so you can stop it. That leaves you straight in on the 5, and then you can roll out for the 6, and then you're out. Okay, so here's just a couple of bonus shots. Here's another jump shot that came up. Again, I would shoot this with my playing cue most of the time, but since I have the jump cue and I need to practice on it, I go ahead and use it. There's a jump with leave for the 2. You'll notice that when I jump, I try to get back to the center of the table. So this next shot's going to happen pretty quick, so let me explain what's going to happen. It's going to be a straight in shot all the way down the table. Now, the way that I shoot this is I masse it to spin it into the corner. In the old days, you could just shoot straight through that with spin.